Because you're going to do it and I'm going to help you.
Yes, from the moment they met, it was...
Billy Wilder didn't just want to make Double Indemnity, he needed to. For years, he'd been stuck making lighter fare, comedies that paid the bills, but never satisfied the itch. Then he read James M. Cain's novella, a pulp crime story published in 1936 about an insurance salesman and a blonde who plot to kill her husband for the payout. It was dark, cynical, and absolutely forbidden. Hollywood's production code explicitly banned any film that showed criminals succeeding or made murder look appealing. Studios had tried to adapt it before. All of them failed, but Wilder saw something else. He saw a chance to tell the truth about greed, lust, and the American dream rotting from the inside. So he bought the rights with his own money, walked into Paramount, and pitched it as a thriller with a moral center. They didn't believe him. They said no audience would pay to watch a heel fall in love with a killer. Wilder didn't argue. He just kept pushing until the studio gave in. Not because they believed in the project, but because Wilder refused to make anything else until they let him try. And just like that, the film noir movement had its cornerstone, built on one man's refusal to look away from the darkness. Fred MacMurray was Hollywood's nice guy. The charming lead in family comedies, musicals, light romances. Audiences loved him because he felt safe, dependable, like the guy next door who'd help you fix your fence. So, when Billy Wilder called him about Double Indemnity, MacMurray thought it was a joke. You want me to play a murderer? A snake who kills for money and a woman? Wilder didn't blink. He said, yes, that's exactly what I want, because nobody will see it coming. MacMurray refused. He told Wilder it would destroy his career, that fans would never forgive him for playing someone so rotten. He suggested other actors, tougher guys, men with edges. But Wilder kept calling, kept insisting, kept saying that the whole film depended on casting someone the audience trusted. Finally, after weeks of pressure and a bigger paycheck, MacMurray caved. He agreed to do it, but demanded one thing: no publicity photos where he looked evil. He wanted to keep his image clean off screen, even if he was playing dirty on it.
You want to knock him off, don't you?
That's a horrible thing to say.
What'd you think I was, anyway?
The moment filming began, something shifted. MacMurray stopped fighting the role and sank into it. He found the desperation, the weakness, the quiet evil that lives in ordinary men. And when audiences saw him, they weren't horrified. They were mesmerized. Because evil never looks like a monster. It looks like Fred MacMurray in a cheap suit, sweating through a lie.
And I wanted to see her again, close. Without that.
Before Barbara Stanwyck ever put on that blonde wig, the role of Phyllis Dietrichson almost went to someone else entirely. Billy Wilder wanted an actress who could play cold, calculating, and seductive without winking at the camera. Someone who could make murder feel inevitable. His first choice, Bette Davis. She had the intensity, the edge, the ability to command a room with just a look, but Davis turned it down flat. She didn't want to play another villain. She'd spent years building a reputation as a serious actress, and playing a murderous femme fatale in a B-movie crime story didn't interest her. Wilder moved on. He considered others, but none of them felt right. Then someone mentioned Barbara Stanwyck. She was a powerhouse.
Me I'm talking about. I don't want to be left out of it.
Stop saying that.
A former chorus girl who'd clawed her way to the top through sheer force of will. She'd played tough women before, but never someone this venomous. Wilder called her directly. He didn't pitch. He just asked if she was afraid. Stanwyck paused, then said, "Of what?" Wilder replied, "Of playing the most ruthless woman in movie history." She signed on the next day. Not because she needed the money or the role, but because she'd spent her entire career being underestimated, and she knew exactly how dangerous that made a woman. Phyllis Dietrichson wasn't just a character. She was a reckoning, and Stanwyck played her without mercy, without apology, and without a single moment of doubt. The camera caught it all, ice wrapped in skin.
I was thinking about that dame upstairs and the way she had looked at me.
Billy Wilder needed a partner who understood hard-boiled dialogue. So he turned to Raymond Chandler, the king of pulp noir, creator of Philip Marlowe. It should have been perfect, two masters of darkness. Instead, it was a disaster. Chandler hated Hollywood, hated meetings, and hated Billy Wilder most of all. They clashed instantly. Wilder worked fast, pacing, smoking, throwing ideas rapid fire. Chandler worked slow, methodical, crafting single sentences for hours. Wilder thought Chandler was pretentious. Chandler thought Wilder was a hack. Their shouting matches echoed through Paramount. Chandler walked out, refused to return unless Wilder stopped hovering. Wilder agreed, then kept rewriting Chandler's pages behind his back. Chandler exploded. He submitted a formal complaint, single-spaced, 2 pages long, listing everything he hated about Wilder. The studio didn't care. Finish the script or lose your paychecks. So they did, hating each other the entire time, and somehow created one of the sharpest screenplays in film history. Proof that great art doesn't require friendship. Sometimes it just requires fury. The wig almost killed the movie. Not metaphorically. Literally, it almost stopped production in its tracks. Barbara Stanwyck's character, Phyllis Dietrichson, needed to look like a specific type. Cheap glamour, the kind of blonde that men fall for and regret. Billy Wilder wanted a wig that screamed danger, something artificial, obvious, wrong. So the costume department built one. Tight curls, platinum color, pinned close to the scalp. When Stanwyck first put it on, she looked in the mirror and hated it. It felt heavy, uncomfortable, like wearing a helmet. But she didn't complain. She trusted Wilder's vision. Then they started filming. The crew saw her in full costume under the lights, and something felt off. The wig looked cheap, but not in the dangerous way Wilder wanted. It looked silly, cartoonish. Several crew members quietly told Wilder it wasn't working. He waved them off. Then they showed the dailies to studio executives. Dead silence. One executive leaned over and whispered, "She looks like a clown." Wilder defended it. He said the wig was supposed to look fake, that it was part of the character's artifice. But even he started to doubt it. For 3 days, they debated reshooting everything with a different wig. New tests, new fittings, new delays. Then Wilder watched the footage again, this time paying attention to Stanwyck's performance instead of her hair. And he realized something. The wig worked because it made her look like she was trying too hard. It made her human, desperate. And that's when evil becomes terrifying. Not when it's perfect, but when it's just close enough to fool you. Edward G. Robinson wasn't supposed to be in the film. Billy Wilder wanted him desperately, but the studio said no. Robinson was expensive, difficult, and at the time, box office poison. He'd been typecast as a gangster for so long that audiences couldn't see him as anything else. But Wilder didn't want him to play a criminal. He wanted him to play Barton Keyes, the insurance investigator, the smartest man in the room, the one who sees through every lie. Wilder knew that casting Robinson against type would give the film tension. The gangster becomes the detective. The predator becomes the truth teller. But Paramount refused to pay his asking price. So, Wilder did something almost unheard of. He went to Robinson personally, showed him the script, and asked him to take a pay cut. A massive one. Robinson read the screenplay in one sitting. When he finished, he looked up and said, "This is the best script I've ever read. I'll do it for whatever you can afford." He took a fraction of his usual salary. No complaints, no ego. Because Robinson understood what the studio didn't. Barton Keyes wasn't a supporting role. He was the moral center of the entire film. The only honest man in a world drowning in lies. And Robinson knew that after years of playing killers, this was his chance to play a hero. Not the kind who saves the day, but the kind who sees the truth and doesn't look away. He didn't need top billing for that. He just needed the words. And Billy Wilder gave him the best words of his career.
The murder's never perfect. Always comes apart sooner or later. And where 2 people are concerned.
There's a scene near the end where Walter Neff, bleeding and dying, confesses everything into a dictaphone. It's one of the most iconic moments in film noir. Raw, desperate, a man staring at his own ruin. But that scene almost didn't happen. In early drafts, the film ended differently. After Neff confesses, he's arrested, tried, and sentenced to death in the gas chamber. Billy Wilder and Raymond Chandler wrote and filmed the execution sequence. It was brutal, clinical, unflinching. Neff walking to his death while Keyes watches from behind glass, smoking a cigar, unable to save his friend. They built the gas chamber set at Paramount, brought in extras, staged the whole thing. Fred McMurray played it with quiet resignation, a man who knew he deserved what was coming. The cameras rolled, the scene wrapped. Then they showed it to test audiences, and everyone hated it. Not because it was bad, but because it was too much. The execution felt like punishment for the audience, not just the character. It drained all the emotional power out of Neff's confession. Wilder watched the reactions and realized his mistake. The gas chamber wasn't the ending. The dictaphone was. The real tragedy wasn't dying in a government chamber. It was dying alone in an office, bleeding out while telling the truth to a machine. So Wilder cut the entire execution sequence. He never used a single frame. And that unused footage, it sat in Paramount's vault for decades until someone finally found it and restored it. By then, everyone agreed. Wilder made the right choice. Death wasn't the punishment. Living long enough to confess was. Film noir is defined by shadows, dark streets, Venetian blinds slicing light across faces, silhouettes hiding secrets. But Double Indemnity took it further than anyone had before. Cinematographer John Seitz didn't just use shadow, he weaponized it. He turned darkness into a character, something that followed Walter and Phyllis through every scene, waiting to swallow them whole. Seitz had worked on silent films, where lighting told the story as much as acting. He understood that what you don't see is often more terrifying than what you do. So, he pushed the boundaries. He used harsh low-angle lights that carved out bone structure and left eyes hidden in darkness. He let entire sections of the frame go black, so characters would appear and disappear within the same shot. Studio executives hated it. They said audiences wouldn't be able to see the actors' faces. They demanded more light, softer shadows, traditional Hollywood glamour. Seitz refused. Billy Wilder backed him.
I would not be standing here tonight. I have forgotten his name, but I have never forgotten.
They argued that the darkness wasn't a mistake. It was the point. These characters are already damned. Let them live in the shadows. The studio relented, but made them shoot backup takes with more light, just in case. Those takes were never used. When Double Indemnity premiered, critics immediately noticed something different. The film didn't look like anything else in theaters. It looked dangerous, suffocating, like watching someone drown in ink. Other cinematographers took note. Within a year, every crime film in Hollywood was copying Seitz's lighting. He didn't invent film noir's visual language, but he perfected it. And he did it by refusing to let anyone see clearly. The famous grocery store scene wasn't in the original script. It wasn't even planned. During rehearsals, Billy Wilder realized something was missing. The film jumped too quickly from attraction to murder. There needed to be a moment where the audience could see them make the choice together. But they had already locked their shooting schedule. No time, no budget. So Wilder improvised. He found a small grocery store near the studio, asked the owner if they could film after hours, and wrote the scene the night before shooting. No set design, no lighting crew, just actors, a camera, and whatever they could grab off the shelves. Walter and Phyllis pretend to shop while planning murder in coded language.
How's this? Think you can do it now?
Hiding in plain sight among canned goods and bread, it should have felt rushed, thrown together. Instead, it became one of the most chilling moments in the film, because there's something deeply disturbing about watching two people plan a killing while reaching for groceries. After the premiere, directors asked Wilder how he staged it. He admitted the truth. He was desperate, out of time. Sometimes the best moments come from necessity. The movie's most quoted line almost didn't survive the censors. When Phyllis Dietrichson first appears, standing at the top of a staircase wearing nothing but a towel, Walter Neff looks up and says, "There's a speed limit in this state, Mrs. Dietrichson, 45 miles an hour. She replies, "How fast was I going, officer?" And he delivers the line that defines their entire relationship. I'd say around 90. The censors flagged it immediately. Too suggestive. Too sexual. The subtext wasn't even subtext, it was just text. They demanded it be cut or rewritten. Billy Wilder refused. He argued that the line was about recklessness, not sex, about two people recognizing danger in each other. The censors didn't buy it. They knew exactly what the line meant. Everyone knew. That was the problem. For weeks they went back and forth. Wilder offered compromises, alternative lines, different readings. None of them worked because none of them captured the same electric charge. Finally, Wilder made a deal. He'd remove a more explicit scene later in the film if they let him keep the 90 line. The censors agreed, thinking they'd won. But Wilder had planned it all along. He'd written that other scene specifically to trade away, knowing the censors would demand cuts. He gave them something meaningless to protect what mattered, and that one line, that single exchange, became the blueprint for every femme fatale introduction in cinema history. Not because it was subtle, because it was perfectly, dangerously clear. The dialogue in Double Indemnity moves fast, snappy, hard-boiled, overlapping. Characters interrupt each other, finish sentences, talk in circles around what they really mean. That rapid-fire patter that makes you lean forward to catch every word. But that rhythm didn't come from the script alone. It came from Billy Wilder's obsession with speed. He believed if characters talked too slowly, the audience would have time to think, to question, to pull back from the spell. Fred MacMurray struggled at first. He was used to the easygoing pace of romantic comedies. Wilder made him run his lines over and over, building speed like a sprinter. Barbara Stanwyck had the opposite problem. She spoke fast naturally. Wilder wanted her to slow down slightly, to let Phyllis's words hang like poison. The contrast created tension that pulses through every scene, and the result changed how movies sounded. After Double Indemnity, every noir film copied that pace. Scripts started noting fast and overlap in margins. Because in a movie about people racing toward death, nobody has time to slow down.
Look, baby, you can't get away with it. You want to knock him off, don't you?
That's horrible.
The apartment where Walter Neff lives wasn't just a set, it was a statement. Billy Wilder obsessed over every detail because he understood that environment reveals character. Walter's place needed to feel empty, transactional, like a man who'd already given up before the story even started. So, production designer Hans Dreyer built a space that felt wrong. The furniture didn't match. The walls were too bare. Nothing personal, no photographs, no books, no warmth. Just a place to sleep between shifts. Even the lighting felt cheap, harsh overhead bulbs instead of lamps. The studio executives walked through during pre-production and hated it. They said it looked unfinished, depressing, not aspirational enough. Audiences wanted to see characters living better than they did, not worse. Wilder told them that was exactly the point. Walter Neff isn't living, he's existing. And that emptiness, that hollow space, that's what makes him vulnerable to Phyllis. She's not offering him love. She's offering him anything other than this. When you see that apartment, you understand why he falls. Not because she's beautiful, but because his life is so desperately small that even murder feels like an upgrade. Later, when the film became a classic, architecture students would study that apartment, not because it was beautiful, but because it was honest. It showed what noir really understood about American life in the 1940s, that behind all the ambition and optimism, a lot of people were living in rooms that felt like coffins, and some of them were willing to do anything to escape.
I'd like to move in on her right now, tonight. If it wasn't for Norton and his...
The opening scene where Walter Neff limps into the office, bleeding, dictating his confession, required dozens of takes. Not because Fred MacMurray couldn't act, because he was too good. MacMurray played it with such physical intensity the camera operator kept losing focus. The man was shaking, hands trembling, voice breaking. Between takes, he'd collapse, completely drained. Wilder would let him rest 10 minutes, then go again. The real problem wasn't technical, it was emotional. MacMurray was so convincing as a man falling apart that the crew couldn't watch without feeling it. During one take, a script supervisor started crying and left the set. During another, the sound recordist forgot to start the machine, too absorbed in the performance. Wilder understood. This wasn't acting. MacMurray was living it. By the time they got the take, his suit was soaked with sweat, makeup running, voice hoarse. That's the take in the movie, the one where you see a man genuinely breaking.
Murder's never perfect. Always comes apart sooner or later. And where two people are concerned, it's usually sooner. Could they get away from him and his relentless...
Edward G. Robinson had a ritual. Before every take, he'd light 3 matches, not for superstition, but for Barton Keyes. His character was obsessed with matches, always fumbling with them, asking other characters for a light, using them as a nervous tick. Billy Wilder wrote it into the script as a character quirk, something to make Keyes feel human and specific. But Robinson took it further. He practiced lighting matches for weeks before filming. Different techniques, different speeds, different failures. He wanted to light them like a man who'd done it 10,000 times, but still got it wrong sometimes. During one scene, Robinson was supposed to light a match while delivering a monologue about insurance fraud. The match broke. Robinson kept going, in character, fumbling for another match without missing a beat in his dialogue. Wilder yelled cut, ready to reset. But when he watched the playback, he realized the broken match made the scene better. It showed Keyes as brilliant but human, a man whose hands betrayed his frustration even when his mind stayed sharp. So Wilder told Robinson to keep fumbling. Sometimes break the match, sometimes drop it, sometimes get it on the first try, but always make it feel real. That tiny detail, those matches, became one of the most memorable visual elements of the film. And in the final scene, when Walter Neff lights Keyes' cigar for him, it completes a circle. The detective who could never get his own matches lit finally gets help from the killer he's been chasing. No dialogue needed, just two men, a flame, and everything left unsaid between them.
How's this? Think you can do it now?
The film's ending is devastating in its simplicity. Walter finishes his confession and collapses. Keyes finds him, they share a final moment. Keyes lights Walter's cigarette. Walter says, "I love you too." He dies, no speeches, no redemption, just two friends at the end. But that ending was a compromise. Raymond Chandler wanted cold justice. Billy Wilder wanted ambiguity. They fought for days. Finally, Paramount decided. Nothing ambiguous, but nothing that denies their relationship. Wilder made it about love instead of justice. Not romantic love, but something deeper. Two men who chose different paths and can't save each other. When they filmed it, McMurray and Robinson did it in one take. No rehearsal, no blocking. The crew stayed silent. Nobody called cut. They let the camera roll until McMurray stopped breathing, and Robinson reached over to close his eyes. Wilder quietly said, "Print it." Everyone knew they'd captured something unrepeatable.
Gotta get to a drugstore. This thing feels like a hunk of concrete inside me. Good night, Walter.
Good night, Keyes.
See you at the office.
During production, Barbara Stanwyck did something that shocked everyone on set. After filming a particularly intense scene where Phyllis shoots Walter, she walked off set, found Billy Wilder, and said, "I want to see the rushes." Actors almost never watch their own dailies. It was considered bad luck, too self-conscious, a distraction from the work. But Stanwyck insisted. She needed to see if Phyllis was reading as cold enough, calculating enough, inhuman enough. Wilder agreed, arranged a private screening. Stanwyck sat alone in a dark room and watched herself commit murder. When the lights came up, she walked back to Wilder and said, "I need to do it again." Wilder was confused. The take was perfect, exactly what he wanted, but Stanwyck explained. She could see too much emotion in her eyes, too much hesitation. Phyllis wouldn't hesitate. She'd shoot Walter the way you'd swat a fly, necessary and meaningless. So they reshot it, and this time, Stanwyck played it with nothing behind her eyes, just blank cold efficiency. Pull the trigger, watch him fall, move on. When that version appeared in the final film, audiences were chilled. Critics called her performance frighteningly empty and devoid of humanity. And Stanwyck considered that the greatest compliment of her career, because she'd fought to remove every trace of sympathy, every hint that Phyllis might feel something human. She wanted to show what evil really looked like, not wild or passionate or crazy, just empty. A woman who could kill and feel nothing. And she succeeded so completely that for years afterward, Barbara Stanwyck, one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses, struggled to book romantic roles. Casting directors couldn't unsee Phyllis Dietrichson, but Stanwyck didn't care. She'd rather be unforgettable than safe.
8:30 tomorrow evening, then.
That's what I suggested.
Will you be here, too?
I guess so. I usually am.
Same chair.
The Production Code Administration, Hollywood's moral guardians, demanded over 50 changes to Double Indemnity before they'd approve it for release. 50. Most films got a handful of notes, but this one, they wanted to gut it, remove the affair, cut the murder planning, eliminate any suggestion that Walter and Phyllis enjoyed their crimes, add explicit punishment for both killers, include scenes of remorse and religious redemption. Basically, turn it into a sermon. Billy Wilder read the notes and laughed. Then he got strategic. He knew he couldn't fight 50 battles, so he prioritized. He identified the 10 things that mattered most to the story and prepared to sacrifice everything else. He rewrote scenes to be slightly less explicit. He added a few lines of dialogue where characters expressed guilt. He filmed alternate takes where the moral lessons were clearer. Then he submitted the new version and waited. The censors came back. Still too dark, they said. Still too sympathetic to the killers. Wilder made more changes, tiny ones, meaningless ones, adjustments that looked significant on paper but didn't change anything on screen. He played the game, gave them the appearance of compliance without surrendering the soul of the film. And slowly, cut by cut, negotiation by negotiation, he wore them down. Finally, after 6 months of back and forth, the Production Code Administration approved Double Indemnity. Not because Wilder gave them what they wanted, but because he gave them just enough to let them pretend they'd won. And when the film hit theaters, audiences saw exactly what Wilder intended. A movie about killers with no redemption. The censors had been played, and by the time they realized it, the film was already a hit. There's a single shot in Double Indemnity that film students still analyze, trying to figure out how Billy Wilder and John Seitz pulled it off. It's the scene where Walter returns to Phyllis's house after the murder, and they stand in her living room, separated by a doorway. The camera holds on both of them simultaneously. Walter in the foreground, Phyllis in the background, neither one in full focus. They're talking, but the frame shows them trapped in separate spaces even though they're in the same house. Seitz achieved this using deep focus photography, a technique that keeps multiple planes of action visible at once. But it required perfect lighting, precise actor positioning, and a lens that could handle the depth. 1 degree off, and the whole shot falls apart.
It was perfect. Except it wasn't, because you made one mistake. Just one little mistake.
They rehearsed it for hours, marking exact foot positions on the floor, adjusting lights down to the inch. When they finally rolled cameras, Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray had to hit their marks perfectly while delivering emotionally complex dialogue, never moving more than a few inches in any direction. They nailed it on the 4th take, and the result is haunting, because the image shows you what the characters won't admit. They're not partners anymore. They're prisoners in separate cells, bound together by a crime that's already destroyed any possibility of escape. Later, cinematographers asked Seitz how he lit that scene. He said it wasn't about the lighting. It was about understanding that great film noir isn't just about shadows. It's about showing two people standing right next to each other who are already completely alone.
Listen, I think I like that.
But you're not sure.
Well, I have to drive it around the block a couple of times.
When Double Indemnity premiered, critics were split. Some called it a masterpiece. Others said it was too cynical, morally bankrupt. One reviewer wrote, "This film will destroy everything decent in Hollywood." Billy Wilder didn't care about critics. He cared about one person, James M. Cain, whose novella he'd adapted. Wilder had changed things, restructured the narrative, added characters, rewrote dialogue. He knew authors hated seeing their work transformed. After the premiere, he nervously approached Cain at the after party. Before Wilder could speak, Cain grabbed his hand. "It's even better than what I wrote." Wilder was stunned. Authors never said that, never. But Cain explained. The film had done something the book couldn't. It made the doomed romance visual, physical, suffocating. That night, Cain inscribed his personal copy. "To Billy Wilder, who took my words and made them immortal." Wilder kept that book in his office for life, displayed prominently. A reminder that the best adaptations don't just honor the source, they transform it.
Something about what happened?
Yes, Mr. Neff. It's about my father's death.
Double Indemnity wasn't a phenomenon when it opened. It made money, but the studio moved on. The actors took other roles. Billy Wilder directed other films. It seemed destined to be just another solid noir thriller. Then something shifted. Film schools started teaching it. Critics revisited it and realized they'd missed something. Other directors began stealing from it, copying its shadows, its structure, its moral darkness. Slowly, over decades, Double Indemnity stopped being just a movie. It became the movie that defined film noir. In 1992, the Library of Congress preserved it. In 1998, AFI named it one of the 100 greatest American films ever made. By 2007, they ranked it 38th of all time. Not bad for something the studio almost killed. Billy Wilder lived to see it all. Near the end of his life, someone asked about the film's impact. He said, "I just wanted to make something honest. Turns out honesty lasts longer than lies." Then he smiled. Even when the honest thing is about lying. The script that Raymond Chandler and Billy Wilder wrote together, the one they fought over for months, still exists. It's in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences archives, and if you ever get a chance to see it, look closely at the margins. They're filled with notes, crossed out lines, angry scribbles. On one page, Wilder wrote in red pen, "This is perfect, don't touch it." Directly underneath, Chandler crossed it out and wrote in pencil, "It's garbage, rewriting." On another page, there's a coffee stain and what appears to be a cigarette burn. No one knows which writer was responsible, but legend says they were arguing so intensely that Chandler threw a lit cigarette at Wilder and missed. The burn stayed in the script.
Okay.
Fine.
He signed it, didn't he?
Sure he signed it. You saw him. Listen, that trip to Palo Alto, when does he leave?
End of the month.
He drives, huh?
Studio secretaries found it when they were typing the final draft and asked if they should replace that page. Wilder told them no, leave the burn. It reminded him that the best work doesn't come from harmony. It comes from two visions smashing into each other until something stronger survives. That script, battle scars and all, became the blueprint for every noir film that followed. And somewhere in those angry margins is the truth about collaboration. It's not about agreement. It's about two people caring so much about getting it right that they're willing to fight until they find something neither of them could have created alone.